how to master the heart. We learn the art of great questions. And getting into people's hearts, the more you'll be able to actually help people. You see, it's not just about a Bible study and going through different things with other people and just asking them one question after the other because you follow first principles with questions on oneness. That's not what it's about. It's always about getting to the heart of things. So why get to the heart of things? Many brilliant artists, as in music producers, do not become great artists in one night. But it was over by many years of perfecting their craft that they became who they became. Much like how it is when we start to understand things. It takes a considerable amount of time before you can perfect your craft. Then once you have it, it's like magic. It's like something just happens right there. There are many different types of degrees in university. Graphic design, digital art, fashion design, theatre, cinema, music, photography, animation, the list goes on. These are all art degrees, if you didn't know. But to master your craft, it takes focus, as in you've got to pay attention and learn. Okay, otherwise you're just going to sit there and it's just all going to come through to you and you're never just actually going to learn. I'll sit there as I study the Bible with Joe. He's very good at getting to the heart of things. And I would sit there and I'll just bring my Bible studies out and I'll do what Bali does a lot and just sit there and blank out. I see a lot of it in me, so I don't think I'm... But I'll do that. And I wasn't sitting and learning what could have really helped me. And I would have done hundreds of studies. I bring in like 3 studies a day. Or like for years. And I just never learned anything. I never learned anything. I learned that if I bring my studies to Joe, he can do better. That's what I learned. But I wasn't learning the art of the heart. Many of you guys don't know this guy called Benny Blanco. Anyone? Okay, some people know. But here's a person who actually learned to master his craft in making music. He may not look like much if you look up this guy, he looks like a bit of a weirdo. But he made songs like Perfect, Castle on the Hill, Happier, Barcelona by Ed Sheeran. He made Love Yourself by Justin Bieber. He made Eastside, Payphone, California Girls, TikTok by Kesha, Diamond by Rihanna, Dynamite, Teenage Dream, Moves Like Jagger, Stereo Heart, Side to Side by Ariana Grande. Grundy is an actual name. When you learn to perfect your craft, it's amazing what you can do. You go, he's a singer, but he's not known what the cool things that he did. He didn't sing in those songs. He just made the beats. And they're some of the biggest songs in the world. But once he was a nobody. But if you learn, if you pay attention, you focus, you can really learn how to do anything. Even the art of the human heart. Now imagine you learn the art of the human heart. And you learn how to perfect it. Imagine that. How many people do you think would have said yes when you evangelized? How many Bible studies do you think could have been better if you learned how to motivate the human heart? How many more people do you think could have been saved if you just understood to move that heart that little bit more? See, if you don't learn, it's a loss to you and it's a loss to all these other people too. So that's why it's extremely important that you stay focused and you learn these things. And it's amazing to see how powerful the heart changes when they talk to the right person. I studied the Bible with this guy for years. His name is Victor. And Victor was from Rwanda. And I studied the Bible with him and eventually he dipped out. And then this guy called Peter Wade came in. He brought him to his Bible talk one time and I was overseeing Pete's Bible talk and I came into Pete's Bible talk. And I saw Victor and I was like, what the heck are you doing here, bro? We kind of just looked at each other and I went, I saw the courage, I started talking to him again, became friends again. And then again, it seemed like we were just going back and forth, and all he did was just prioritize his work, and that's all he cared about. And it was interesting because I brought him to Joe for 45 minutes. I spent, like, I'm going to spend a year and a half trying to help this guy become a disciple. 45 minutes ago, Joe, I want to be a disciple. After talking to him. Yeah. If I only learned how to master the human heart, like, things could have been different. I just scratch my head, why not me? And sometimes it has different factors in it. Joe leads a church, he's older than me, people respect that when they see these tiny little things, and yes, they do matter, unfortunately. There's tiny little things, but there's also how you say things and the experience and stuff that you have, it really helps. And I bought Joe like all my studies and stuff before, but that was when I was in Parramatta that I couldn't help convert people. But when I was in the West with Joe, I remember we baptized like crazy. Like I said before, I just brought him for studies, and then we baptized. If anyone's from Sydney watching, if you're in the West and you're not baptizing, you're just not bringing your studies to Joe. That's what you call me. Okay? Because anyone can crank the West. So if you crank the West, I'm not impressed. Because you can bring it to Joe. But if you're outside of it, you should be able to crank it. You should be able to, like, if you can't crank it, then it's like, okay, I haven't really understood the human heart and how to really turn it and help people come to God. And Jesus was the master of it. He was the master, and he could see right through it. Like the rich young ruler, right? He saw right, he cut to the chase and he goes, let me just get to the heart of things right here. I remember how, bringing the right person, the person to the right individual instead of the right order. I remember I had one of my best friends, Jake, and I was trying to convince this guy that Christianity is the right one. I was like, bro, you got to become a Christian and this and that. And I thought I knew my apologetics because I've been so many of them studies ago. And I felt like I was just getting nowhere. And I was like, man, what can I do to help? And I brought him to this guy called Raja Rajana. And he's extremely good when it comes to talking about science and all this kind of stuff and just convincing. And so I brought him to him. And it's like all of a sudden my friend believed. It's like, why could this person do what I could not do? It just stumped me and I hated it. But it's because I never learned the art of the human heart. But I appreciate those moments you feel like you finally do get a breakthrough. I remember talking to Jason recently. When Jason was trying to figure out, do I want to become a Christian? I gave him this challenge and I just laid out his whole life before him. I said, Jason, what do you want? And he listed all the things he wanted, and I'm like, that's in Christianity, right? I go, I'm going to give you one challenge. If you come to Bible talk, then I know that you actually want to become a Christian, you actually want to do all these things. If not, don't come. But if you do want to do it, come to Bible talk. And I remember, Bible talk started, we went Bible talk, and then Jason walked through the room, and I was like, I knew at that moment, I was like, yes. Yes. All the other brothers have been getting with Jason. He hadn't really moved at that point until we had the conversation. But if you don't learn to master the art of the heart, you're never going to be able to get through to people. You're only going to get through to the more surface level. Does that make sense? Yeah. Getting into the heart of things allows you to see if someone is really open or not at all. It really does. And it also allows you to motivate them by finding out what they want and equating it with Christianity. Acts 2, verse 40 to 41. And with many other words, he warned them and he pleaded with them, save yourselves from this corrupt generation. You see, he pleaded with people. He warned them. He was like, hey, this is what your life's going to look like if you do this. I'm going to plead with you because this is the right thing to do. The apostles understood this. They knew this. They spent time with Jesus. They would have seen this kind of stuff. In the Bible studies, this is what we ought to be doing with people. We've got to plead with people. Hey, Christianity, that's the way you want to do. This is the best way to go. You've got to plead with people. If you want to learn the art of the human heart, then we first must understand a few things. So I'm going to go through this in a little series, but I'm only going to go through one point today. My first point is how to win over the human heart. Okay? Make sure you listen. Make sure you listen. A lot of us like to yappa, but we don't shut it. Okay? We've got to be more quiet and listen more. And it's not just listening. I mean, really listen to what people say. Too often, we don't really listen to what people say. Matthew 12, verse 34. You brood of vipers, how can you who are evil say anything good, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. So they'll tell you everything that you need to know. You just got to listen. You may hear what people are saying, but that does not necessarily mean that you're listening. You can find out a lot about a person by just getting to know their lifestyle, what their interests are, what matters to them the most. X, Y, Z. It's only by listening to someone for a long time that you really get to the heart of who they are and what they actually want. You know, it's interesting when, I know it's a hot topic and people have some kind of opinion on it or whatever, but I think about, why did Trump win the election? Why did he win this kind of stuff? It's because he went on all the podcasts. And the thing of the podcasts were, they went for 3 hours, or 3.5 hours of just talking. And what the people really wanted to know is they want to know, who is this guy? Who is this person? And the thing about what the other candidate, Kamala Harris, didn't do is she didn't want to go on the podcast because they were afraid of what she might say. They go, well, we know it's 3.5 hours, so we're afraid of what she's actually going to say. And the guys who ran the podcast, they weren't left all right. They were just like in between. They were like, we're just on the side of just doing what is actually right. So we want to know what your opinions are. And they invited both of them. And Trump's one that's like, yeah, I'll be on it. And he went on things. He went on Theo Von's podcast. You guys know Theo Von? Yeah, right? And all they did, this guy's just like a comedian. That's all he is. And you know what they talked about? His brother's drug addiction. Just stupid stuff like that. Like they just talked about just real life stuff. And Theo's like, yeah, I struggle with this and that. And Trump's like, oh yeah. They don't talk about politics and all that kind of stuff. No. They just talked about life. You see, by listening to someone, you can really start to understand someone's heart. That's what influences people. That's what really helps. You know, if you listen carefully enough to someone, you may very well see what their heart actually tells you. They may not mean certain things, but what they say is an overflow of the heart. Yes. My wife would always call me up on this. I would say something, I'd say something stupid, and I'll go, oh, that's not what I meant. She goes, the mouth speaks what the heart is full of.
Come on, Megs.
Yeah, you meant it. And I'm like, you know, I couldn't argue it because the Bible said it. But it's so true. And it's funny when you say something that you don't mean, like you meant it. Because the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. You've got to listen to how they express their heart. If you don't read or hear someone's emotions, they're gonna run away. They might say this, say that, and then in between, just very slightly, they'll say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. And then they'll continue to speak. But you haven't picked up on that one little bit. You're listening to all the background noise, but not listening to what's really going on. It's very subtle, but it's there. You can tell if someone's on board with the simple things through their body posture or their tone of their voice. You can absolutely tell. This is seen when you give them a challenge and then seeing what they're actually going to say from it. You give that little pointy challenge, you go, I wonder where the heart's at right here. I was talking to one of the guys, and I think Nikhil was catching up with just a moment ago. Asked him, if you really want to seek God before your heart, come study the Bible. He's like, yeah, I really want to seek God with all my heart. I'm like, great, that's awesome. When are you free? Next week, Sunday. What does that tell you? He's not really okay. He's saying one thing, but then his heart says another. So he's actually like, yeah, I want to do it with all my heart. Bro, if you wanted to win $1 million with all your heart, and I said, okay, all you got to do is just seek God with all your heart for $1 million. Do you think they'll not meet up later that night? It's $1 million cash. I mean, depending on the person, but everyone's got value for a certain thing, and it's how they see that value. How much do they value it? And you can tell. By just asking, because the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. And it's obviously clear to someone if they're open by how willing they are to put everything into practice. Matthew 6, verse 21. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And not only is that true just with money, but with everything. Where your treasure is, there your heart is also. Whether that's work, food, right, studies, girlfriend, boyfriend, lifestyle, whatever it is, you've got to simply ask yourself, like I was mentioning before, if you gave $1 million to them, but all they need to do is put God first for 2 weeks, and you ask them when they'd like to meet up, don't you think they would say tomorrow or the next day? People always make time for the things that they want. People make time for the things that they want. So if they're not making time for it, they don't want it. It's just that simple. You've got to talk a lot less to hear a lot more. Talk a lot less to hear a lot more. You see, most of the time, people just agree with you. That's a problem. I even saw this thing of what they do in the CIA. They do this. So if you start to agree with someone and you start nodding your head like this, they'll start nodding their head. And they'll start agreeing with you when you start saying this. And people can just get into this mindset of like, they become a yes man. Become a yes man. Become a conviction man. We get some conviction right here. You're looking to ask the right question to see if that's actually what they want to do. And then seeing what they do right after that. But a lot of the time you just got to shut up and let them speak. That's not what you got to do. A lot of the time you just got to shut up and let them speak. You do this by getting them to speak about themselves or by just simply asking questions. When you ask a lot of questions and that person tells you about themselves, then their heart's actually revealed. You know, it was great talking to Dane. He was fired up. He was telling me his whole life story. But I can tell this guy, he wants to just get right with God. You can tell in his heart, he's like, that's just what I want. When you talk to someone else and all they do is talk to you about work, guess what their focus is on? Right. And so what you've got to do is you've got to shut up and listen to what people are actually saying. You're looking at someone's heart, you're trying to find out. You can do this by making a prompt statement. And then they'll add on it a lot. So here's another thing that they do in the CIA. They use this tactic by asking a simple question. For example, an employee would mention to another employee, it would be like an undercover employee, they go, man, this job's been really difficult. That's the prompt. They don't ask them a question, they don't say anything. Because why? Because if you ask that person a question, walls go up. There is no wall there, walls come down, you're just expressing how you feel, and then that person goes, yeah man, I've been treated so badly in this job, they do this and that and that. You haven't even said anything to them. But you've just gone, I've said a statement over here, and then they start to open up. That's how they get information from a whole lot of people, if you didn't know. So it's pretty interesting. You know, people always say what's on their heart. If you'd simply use the 2 ears that God gave you, and you listen twice as much as you spoke, because you've got 2 ears, and you've got 1 mouth. So you should maybe speak less and listen more. Mark 7, verse 21 to 23. For it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come. Sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evil come from inside and defile a person. So when you have listened, you can really then figure out what they want and what actually motivates them. You ask a simple question. What do you want? What do you want? Asking a simple question like that will give you the reason why they're with you in the first place. So I would ask you a simple question again. What do you want? I was studying the Bible with this other guy just the other day. And he said, I just want to have a great relationship with God. I go, okay. Are you looking to feel right by God, or are you looking to do what is right by God? I just want to feel like I have a great relationship with Him. Okay, so he's chasing a feeling, he's not chasing truth. By asking the right question, by seeing where his heart is actually at, you can start to understand. But if someone's like, I want to do what's right, I want to get conviction, like what Gideon was talking about, you got someone who's actually like, I want to do what's right. Because Jesus says, deny yourself. Don't follow your feelings. And the heart is deceitful above all things. No one can understand it. You see, asking a simple question like that will tell you exactly why they're there in the first place. If you learn how to use what they want and help them achieve what they're after, then they can also help you achieve what you want. Okay? If there's one thing you can always count on, I like this is an interesting one. You can always count on people's selfishness. If there's one thing you can count on, it's people's selfishness. Genesis 6 verse 5. Then the Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil at all times. You see, people either choose God because they want to get to heaven, or they choose family, friends, work, relationships because they want to feel valued and loved more. Either way, it's all selfish. People, you can always count on them. So you're looking to see, what do people actually want? The idea to win people over to Christianity is to help them see that what they want is found in Christianity, not anywhere else. And that's true. But where are they going to find a great relationship? In church. Where are they going to find all this stuff? How to have a great job and all that kind of stuff? You go, not in the church. It should be. Through what you learn, all those skills and all that kind of stuff. I'm telling you, man, Vali can now get an excellent job in sales because he's such a great evangelizer, he learned that in the church. All these different things you can learn at that. Applying biblical principles, even if the other disciples aren't doing it, you can still learn it from the Word. Because God teaches you that. I was talking to this one other guy I was studying with about how he wants to put work above everything. Then I asked him if he wants to have a family and a wife that loves him. I just asked him that simple question. Yeah, of course. I want to have a wife and I want to have a family that loves me. Okay. Then, if he puts work above them, then it won't happen and helping. And I started to help him just walk through his life. So I started going, okay, you want a great family? He goes, yes. I'm like, but you say you put work over family. Yes. How does that work? Well, my family's going to love me because of all I provide. And I go, and who do you know that says that? He goes, well, I don't exactly know someone, but I have a friend who's 27 years old. He's a millionaire and he's great on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And I go, okay, does he have a wife and kids? No. Okay, so why are you trusting that? Why do you think this is going to work? It's not going to work. Why don't you go ask all the guys who are billionaires? Why don't you ask people that actually are rich and tell them and see what they actually think? Because I've met a lot of guys that were millionaires and they always say the same thing. I wish I could get back the time. I wish I could go through it. And I even give my own example about how my dad would constantly work, and yet he was able to put money on the table but I could never get that time back. I could never get that time back. You see, you must always, I use this analogy with the guys, you've got to bring the cow around the barbed wire fence. What I mean by it is this, I grew up on a farm, and we had lots of barbed wire fence, so that's that little prickly fence that goes around that stops the cows from getting in. If you're trying to persuade someone and you're dragging the cow over the fence, come follow me, like what the guys are in the Mormon church try to do with those two others. Come follow me. It's not going to work. Because you're trying to go, here's what I believe and you need to believe it too. It ain't going to work. What do you got to do? You've got to go around the fence. You've got to come to where they're at and lead them back around. But if you're just trying to force your opinion on someone, you're just going to hurt them and they're going to run away. That's what happens. What does it also take? Not just a whole lot of listening, but a whole lot of love. A whole lot of love. You're going to win the human heart, it takes a lot of love. By showing your life to someone, they'll be won over. People are always watching your life. Sorry. I know you stuff up once or twice, but you might have just completely ruined someone's image of what Christianity is. That's the reality of life. It sucks. Now, amen, you can change so you can help a whole lot of people, but I think that's the cool thing about leaders is you become a great leader and all that stuff because you suck at a lot of things and you learned and you made so many mistakes. The repercussions of someone becoming a leader is a whole lot of failures. That's the reality of it, unfortunately, because they learn from these things. But people are looking at your life. They're looking to see what will happen in your life and how it will be when disaster strikes. Jesse Cross's dad. When Joe's house fell down, there was cracks on the foundation. Okay, and you couldn't be in it anymore. He had to make a decision. It was like, okay, well, I've got to file for bankruptcy and all that kind of stuff because I just can't do this. I can't afford it. I'm on a ministry wage, and my wife and I make under 50K a year. We just can't do it. And so, what that ultimately meant was they're in a tough situation. Now, everybody, that disaster happened to, everyone was upset. And so all the news people would be coming, Channel 9 News, like, what are your thoughts on this? And they're like, oh, we're devastated and all that stuff. And then they'll bring the camera to Jerry and go, well, God's in control. And so they didn't put that on TV, of course. But they put the other stuff on TV. And Jesse Cross's dad was always looking at Joe going, and he said to him, I want to see how you are the next couple of months while this is happening, because people are always watching your life. They're always looking to see how you're going to react when disaster hits. Are you still going to be Christ-like? Are you just going to go down a really bad track? People are looking. Because why? Because they're deciding, do I want to be like you? Do I want to be like you? Whether you like it or not, people are always watching. Why? Proverbs 27 verse 19. As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. People are looking at your life to see who you really are. Do you realize that your heart reflects your life? That your life is just a reflection of your heart. How you live, how you talk, what you do, it's just who you are. It reflects who you are. It's who you are. You're like, you go, that's not my heart, bro. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's what you said. It's what you do. It's who you are. If people looked at your life today, what would they say? You're a man of God. Or would they say you're a man of the world? They're looking to see how you treat others, how you interact with other people. If you're a good wife, if you're a good husband, they're looking. Because they want to know, will I be like you? People are ultimately, at the end of the day, looking for someone to look up to. They're looking for good people. Luke 6, verse 45. A good man brings good things stored up out of the good stored in his heart. But an evil man brings evil things stored up out of the evil in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. The world needs heroes in the faith. Because there are none. A lot of the heroes in the faith that I've seen recently are just, and it's sad to see what they all kind of have done. They've gone off, they started the whole movement and all this kind of stuff. It's sad. But I look at that and I'm like, I don't really want to live that life. I don't want to be that. I don't want someone who's faultless, but I want someone who's at least not doing some weird sexual stuff with other people. At least. I want someone who's just got integrity, that says what they say and they mean what they mean. And they stick by it. They're a man of God. That's why I appreciate Joe a lot. I know I'm bringing him up a lot because he's the person that gets to people's hearts. I love his integrity. And to me, that's why he's a hero in the faith to me, because he'll always do what he says and always does the right thing, even when others are not watching. And if he does stuff up, he'll be the first to say it. That's what I appreciate the most. But how can I say that? Because I've seen his life. I've slept over at his house. I've watched him. I've seen this kind of stuff and I go, that's what I look up to. You know, by never failing to love, you will win someone's heart. You must love, even if it hurts sometimes. Actually, especially if it hurts sometimes. It's hard to love someone who doesn't love you back or reciprocate that love. Amen. But that's why the Bible says it's easy to love the Gentiles who love you back. But it makes you no better than a Gentile. But if we're to be men of God or women of God, you've got to learn to hug the porcupine. If you want to win someone's heart, then that's what it takes. Hugging the porcupine. Now, with Emmanuel, I was a porcupine, and Emmanuel was hugging me tightly, and I feel like I splintered this guy a lot. Because that relationship wasn't always great, per se. But I would literally go to his face, I don't like you. I say to his face, I don't like you. I don't want to be discipled by you. This sucks. You annoy me. And it went on for that, like that, and he goes, I don't care, bro, I love you anyways. I don't care, you're going to be my best friend. I'm like, Manny, you're not my best friend. You're going to be your best friend. Okay, you're not. Like, I guess you're kind of my friend, but I don't like you, bro. You're not even that, bro. You're not my best friend. He's like, yeah, bro, But you're my best friend. What a word. So. But slowly but surely weighing me down. He's one of my best friends. You see, you may get hurt time and time again, but if you do it for God, eventually, now that eventually might be 10, 15, 30 years later, eventually, you'll weigh them down with so much love, they don't even know what to do. They say this is a New Testament scripture, but in the Old Testament, Proverbs 25, 21 to 22 says, if your enemy's hungry, give him food to eat. If he's thirsty, give him water to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals in his head, and the Lord will reward you. You see, when you do such nice things for people all the time, it's like putting hot ashes on their head. They feel so guilt-ridden, they go, why do I keep treating this good person like absolute garbage? They don't deserve it. If you just keep doing good to evil, that's how good wins. You don't pay evil for evil. Good wins when you go, I'm going to fight evil with good. Not this person hurt me, so I'm going to hurt them back. Eye for an eye. It doesn't work. That's why Christianity's lasted so long. That's why it's still here today. Because you know what wins? Love. And you know what never fails? Love. That's what never fails. And people are happy when they feel loved. They're super happy. If you love them and always encourage them, eventually, without intellect required, you don't need to be smart. You just need to have a good heart. You're going to win someone's heart. It's like a blunt axe. You can chop a tree down if you have a sharp axe. Eventually, if you're good at the hard skills, you can get there. But if you have a blunt axe, and you don't really know what to do, but you can only dab someone up right there like Bali, if you whack it enough, eventually the tree will come down. Eventually. It doesn't come down easy. It takes a whole lot of whacks, but it can get there. And it doesn't matter if you use a sharp or a blunt axe, eventually the tree will fall down. One just takes longer, but at the end of the day, it never fails. You will cut the tree down. You know, it's interesting. I wonder, why do false Christian churches always grow so much? I started to think about it. And I go, you know what? I'll take the Mormons, for example. You know why the Mormons grow so much? Because they love so much. Now, their life might be on the right track, but their doctrine totally isn't. But at least they're flat living the life. And people are attracted to that. They're after people who just love them more. And you know what? I like what Ralph said. They usually only do 4 visits. That's true. Why are they doing 9 visits? Love. Because love will weigh them down. Question for yourself. Are you more loving than the Mormons? Are you more... If we flat lose to loving other people that much, you're just not like Jesus. If you're a real Christian, you ought to be loving so much more. If you have the power of the Holy Spirit, you ought to be loving so much more. You see, love goes above and beyond. The extent that you go for people will win people's hearts. Romans 12, verse 10. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. If you treated every Bible study like you were studying the Bible with your mom or your best friend, how different would it be? A part of winning someone's heart is through how different they see real Christian love versus fake Christian love. And it's so noticeable. If you drop someone off and pick them up for church, it shows how much you care for them. Other churches, like these mega churches, I went to Hillsong, they have like a bus that will come pick you up. Right? I used to have to sit there and wait for a whole bunch of people just to come pick them up constantly for church, all the time in Sydney. And why? Because this guy called Brian Hill used to do it for me all the time. I don't have a car in the US, and so Brian would constantly pick me and my friend Malcolm up for church to take us to, I guess, in and out, and then we'll come back. But that's what it was every single week. And that, it just kept getting into my heart. Like, I wasn't open for a while. Like, there was a period of the Bible studies where I just stopped, but he just kept picking me up for church and dropping me off. Just out of the goodness of his heart. Just because he loved God. And he loved people. He used to take this one Kenyan guy, and he used to live about an hour and a half away. So I lived in North Sydney. He lived in what they call the Shire. Okay? I'm not talking about hoppers. But I'm talking about in the shite, it's very, very far away from water, okay? So I'm up here, he's down there, and it takes an hour and a half each way. And I used to come back and forth from every single time. Megan will talk to me about it. She goes, this guy better be worth it. You're wasting so much fuel. I go through like a tank of fuel in like maybe 2.5 days. It's like $100 each time. And I'm like, dang, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of love. That's what it is. But are you willing to go to that extent to love people? Are you willing to love people that much? That's Bible talk, midweek, church. That's what it was. Why? Why go to so much effort? That was the extent that no one else would do. He was visiting some other church, and I said the difference between, actually, he wasn't visiting another church, he was going to the ICOC. And I said the difference here needs to be love. If I'm going to win this guy, I need to love him so much more. And that's exactly what happened. I did. And I want him over. But how do you win that? It goes to the extent of buying someone food, dropping them off, fixing their car, renovating, picking up their furniture, all-night prayers. Yeah, it's tough work. Yeah, it's annoying. But not if you love someone. You see, if you love someone, you don't mind. That's just what you do. And so when people see that, they'll ask me, they said, love, they go, so why do you do this? I go, because that's what Christians do. I go, well, no one else does that. And I go, yeah, because that's what Christians do. Welcome to real Christianity. That's love right there. I know you might not have seen it, but this is what Christians do. That's what it means to win the human heart.
Come on, Zola.
That's the type of friendship that people never want to lose. So in conclusion, if you want to win over someone's heart, it takes a lot of thought, a lot of love, and a lot of care. I'll give you a challenge. When you're deep into Bible study with someone, do something that goes above and beyond when it comes to loving them and winning them over. Okay? Go above and beyond. We're not saying to someone just first study the Bible. If you want to see if they're open first. Okay? But then go above and beyond to love that person. Heaps. Okay? So well into the studies, like, yes, I want to do this. Go above and beyond. Show them the difference. Okay? And then practice some of the things that I mentioned in the study, when you study the Bible with people. Okay? Practice some of these things to win over the human heart. Okay? That's the art of the heart. See you next week for part 2. Amen.